144 last week, but didn't face any bowlers anywhere near the calibre of this man, Richard Hadlee. That's the end of the over. South Australia 1 for 15.
This is Hilditch. As you can see, there was not a great deal of movement of feet there, and he's just played back and across, and I don't think there was too much doubt about that one, Rowdy.
No, indeed, he played across the crease. The ball came just outside the off stump, would have missed off stump and would have missed leg stump. Certainly wouldn't have missed middle stump.
So 7 is turning out to be Andrew Hilditch's own personal devil's number.
Yes, indeed. He scored 1 and a 7 against Western Australia and 7 here in the first dig against New Zealand. So having a run of outs, which is certainly unusual for a man like Andrew Hilditch. He started the season off for Glenelg in a grade game, got 228.
The change of bowler now from the northern end. It's Lance Cairns coming on to replace McSweeney. Not McSweeney. These Kiwis, they all look alike.
Yes, indeed. He's bang on line first up. McSweeney is the man, of course, behind the stumps, the keeper. Cairns has replaced Martin Snedden. Lance Cairns. Fair bit of him. Unusual action, a very square on, or chest on. Bowls big in-dippers at a fairly gentle pace. But he's not a gentle man when he gets hold of a bat and someone bowls up a half volley to him. He likes nothing better than clouting the ball out of the park.
Cairns again to Bishop. That one's well wide of the off stump, going through at about, I'd say half a yard faster than what A. Mallett used to bowl.
Talking about the slower ball, of course. Cairns. Big-hearted performer. A good shot off his pads by Bishop. I'll get at least 2. Vaughan Brown in pursuit, and he's a very energetic young man, New Zealand. Left-handed batsman. Right arm off spinner. It'll be interesting to see him bowl later on today. The other spinner in the side is, of course, Stephen Bock.
Cairns from the Cathedral end to Bishop, and he's given that a nice club, but no run. Fielded by Snedden.
Slightly agricultural, that on drive. That's the in-swinger. Pitching around about off stump or outside and coming into the right-handed batsman. So it's Lance Cairns. It's a better delivery. Beats the bat. Wraps the pad. It's the end of the over. 2 runs from it. South Australia 1 for 17.
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
First, we made a great big box and put the world's #1 selling home computer in it, the Commodore 64. Added international soccer, a joystick, 4 easy-to-follow instruction books, a music maker, a data cassette recorder, and 6 best-selling games. And then we put a ridiculous price on it. The Commodore 64 Family Pack.
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
South Australia off to not the start that they would have wished for, I'm sure, as Richard Hadlee comes in from the southern end, bowling to Bob ZADOW. And welcome to John Halbert.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, a perfect day as Bob ZADOW just leans on that ball and pushes it through the mid-off area, and they're easily through for a single. Perfect conditions at Adelaide Oval today, and those who are viewing the match at the moment will have a marvellous opportunity of seeing a real contrast in bowling styles between Richard Hadlee, very much an orthodox style, excellent technique, the ball really getting up, and Bishop having to go right underneath the ball. But Hadlee, a traditionalist in the sense of his bowling action, very much textbook style. Here it is, a very high arm action, firing the ball in short on that occasion, and it's really getting up and going past Glenn Bishop's shoulder. And at the other end, you'll see Lance Cairns, who is far from orthodox. This ball over-pitched and Bishop forward and driving, and it'll be interesting to see that in replay, Greg, because that ball may have carried to Richard Hadlee for a caught and bowled opportunity.
Certainly in the air, and that was a chance. The eagle eyes of Halbert picking up on a stroke of fortune for South Australia. Bishop is still there with 9 to his credit. It's been an interesting little over from Hadlee. Bouncer, caught and bowled opportunity missed. Another one dug in around the rib cage of Bishop.
This ball coming off the arm, and umpire Capt deciding that the batsman did not attempt to play a shot. Here it is in replay. And the rule is if the player doesn't attempt to play a shot, and on that occasion you could see that Bishop was only taking evasive action, hitting him on the arm, and therefore a dead ball and no run added to the score, even though the batsman did cross for a single. We have a marvellous example here of the experience of Richard Hadlee, 34 years of age and still an outstanding opening bowler, and he's already worked out that Glenn Bishop is very much a front foot player, likes to get on that front foot and drive, and so he's really testing Glenn Bishop out now by firing a few balls short of a length and trying to force Bishop onto his back foot. Ball just turned backward of square, a chase for Brown, through for a single, look for the second, but Glenn Bishop not really interested. And that's the end of the over, and at the end of that over, South Australia 1 for 19.
If you know anything at all about shower screens and building...
South Australia in a little trouble this morning, already losing the wicket of Hilditch for his equal season higher score of 7. Now it'll be Glenn Bishop on strike at the southern end and the burly frame of Lance Cairns.
One of our well-known umpires in Tony Capt, a very experienced umpire. Some of our viewers may not know that in fact Tony Capt has played a great deal of cricket. He played district cricket for Port Adelaide from 1960 through to the 1973 season. He actually spent a year in the Central Lancashire League in 1963, commenced his umpiring in 1973 and made his first class debut the following year in a Shield game, and then his test debut in 1978. So a very, very experienced umpire with 16 tests to his credit. He also has umpired in 39 one-day internationals, 27 Shield games. He works for the Department of Recreation and Sport, and next year, of course, he's been given the very big responsibility of looking after the 3-day world event in the 150 Jubilee celebration.
Lance Cairns operating from the scoreboard end, bowling to Bishop. He certainly likes to get onto that front foot and hit in that arc from, say, the bowler around to mid-wicket, but the field having little trouble there. The large frame of Lance Cairns, he's had some trouble since arriving in Australia with some muscle trouble in the thigh, but he seems to be moving fairly freely today, if in fact you can say that a man that big moves freely.
Yes, he is a big man, very strong player, and as Ashley Mallett indicated, he really does touch the ball when he bats. But if you look at his bowling style in this next delivery, you'll see that he's far from orthodox, very much square on, not the side-on position as one normally tries to adopt. This ball over-pitched and Bishop forward, driving on the onside, but really only getting a bottom edge and no chance of a run. A maiden over. At the end of that over, South Australia 1 for 19.
In everyone's mouth live taste buds.
If this is another boring lolly day, I'm going on...
Be bowled by Richard Hadlee, New Zealand's strike bowler. of days gone by, although he suggests to us that that is no longer the case. Some South Australian batsmen may need some convincing of that, though. Bob ZADOW on strike. That's Brown once again. Super sharp in that close leg side position, John.
Yes, in fact, we saw an example of that in an earlier over where Andrew Hilditch was rather fortunate not to be run out when he played a ball to that short leg position, and Brown, picking it up very quickly, fired it back at the wicket, and had it hit the wicket, he would have been run out.
ZADOW again. Just guiding the ball straight down the ground. That's Big John Wright fielding. He's a class player with the bat in his hand. And speaking of class players, Richard Hadlee, considered by many to be the most complete all-rounder in the world.
Probably get an argument about that one, Greg, from a few English people who might consider Ian Botham has earned that title, but I agree with you. He certainly would be bracketed with Imran Khan and Ian Botham as probably one of the most complete all-rounders in today's cricket. An outstanding opening bowler with a fantastic record for New Zealand and also in county cricket in England. This ball short of the length and really rearing up. He's able to get that bounce because of his high arm action, and he's not frightened to fire the ball in and really get it to lift quickly past the bowler's head.
I think, too, on occasions, well, both these fellas batting for South Australia now have had difficulty, or they don't pick up the length quickly, and as we said, he's got a very economical action to the wicket, and he's got that ability to make the ball rear sharply. So a run to Bob ZADOW there as he squirts it out into the covers.
Last ball was his slower ball. Greg just slowed it down a little, but unfortunately over-pitched slightly, and just Bob ZADOW was able to lean on the ball and push it into the cover area. Again, slightly over-pitched, and Bishop forward onto the front foot drives, and almost another caught and bowled chance. Didn't quite carry. South Australia 1 for 20.
Right now, your poor dealers let nothing but nothing.
And we've had about 44 minutes of play. Richard Hadlee is just receiving a little treatment. I suspect that may have done himself a little damage cleaning up that the last ball of the last over.
Probably that's two lots of damage to that hand, because just earlier he dropped a very difficult caught and bowl chance from Glenn Bishop. This one eludes both batsman and keeper down to fine leg. The batsman through, but again, umpire Martin determining that the batsman did not attempt to play a shot, and as a result, a dead ball.
See here, ZADOW, well, I think most people would think that he did offer a shot at that. The only problem was he didn't put bat on it, but umpire Martin is the boss out there at the moment. He decided that it was a token effort.
Well, big in-dipper there, pitched outside the stumps, but with that bowling action, much like the well-known Australian all-rounder Max Walker, he gets the ball to really dip in quite sharply from outside the off stump.
How does it go? Right hand over left ear roll. And the ability of this man to cut it back from the seam and move it in the air.
As I felt that delivery earlier, umpire Martin was very, very tough on Bob ZADOW. I think he did attempt to play a shot. The fact that he wasn't good enough to get the bat very close to the ball doesn't detract from the fact that he did attempt to play a leg glance. So that's a strange decision in referring to it as a dead ball. This ball up into the groove, but ZADOW not quite to the pitch as he drives into the covers and straight to Edgar.
Lance Cairns, also an economical action, a man who could bowl all day if asked to by his skipper. slight change in the field as he comes into Bob ZADOW. The third slip has been taken away, and for ZADOW we now have two slips. Deepish Point, Coney directing traffic out there, and now they've brought Hadlee back into the gully field from the leg side as CAIRNS comes in, bowling to Bob ZADOW.
ZADOW forward, but really only getting a bottom inside edge. The ball going through the vacant mid-wicket area, and 2 runs to Bob ZADOW. South Australia's total at the end of that over, moving on to 1 for 22. We see a bowling change from the southern or River Torrens end of the ground. Snedden has taken over from Hadlee. Rather a strange move, because I felt that Richard Hadlee was certainly causing both Bishop and ZADOW some concern, particularly with the shorter pitch ball. But obviously Coney wants to use his batsmen in short spells. It's a welcome to the commentary to David Darcy.
Thank you, John. 6 overs, 1 for 11 for Hadlee. He's off from the southern end, and Snedden, who bowled 3 overs this morning for 7 runs. So it's Snedden with 3 slips of gully, point mid-off, square leg, mid-on, and a man on the fence at fine leg. Slow going for the South Australians this morning. This is the 13th over of the innings. And just 22 runs on the board. 23 now as Bishop pushes to extra cover. The batsman out was Hilditch. He went leg before wicket on the bowling of Hadlee when the score was 15. And Andrew Hilditch, John, having a pretty rough trot at the moment in first-class cricket. Remembering, of course, he got that 228 in district cricket, his first hit. Really hasn't got past 7 in his 3 digs so far in first-class arena.
And you'd have to say that he's not striking the ball with confidence either. I mean, a batsman can have a run of outs and a bit of misfortune. It's a no ball as Snedden oversteps the mark, adding another run to the South Australian total and taking it to 24. But Andrew Hilditch just doesn't seem to be striking the ball well. And a batsman can get out because of a little misfortune, a bit of bad luck. But in Andrew Hilditch's case at the moment, David, he's just not playing well, and he'd be very concerned with that, as would the Australian selectors.
Snedden to ZADOW. Yes, of great concern, the form of Andrew Hilditch at the moment. Bob ZADOW's in top form. He made 144 in the Shield game completed last Sunday here against Western Australia, and his batting partner Glenn Bishop got 108 also in the second innings. ZADOW leg stump, and he's just gets it square, no run.
David, isn't it marvellous what some runs can do for a batsman's confidence? Bob ZADOW, who started off very shakily against Western Australia, but then went on to compile that excellent 100, now looks a much more confident batsman, as does Glenn Bishop. And this can happen with a batsman. A few runs under the belt, a little bit of luck perhaps, but still some runs, and then the confidence soars.
Ends up very straight on this occasion and hits it straight to mid-off. Box fielding there. Richard Hadlee, that's Hadlee in fact. 6 overs, no maiden, 1 for 11. Good spell, John.
Oh yes, a very experienced bowler, an excellent bowler, and I'm a little surprised that Jeremy Coney has decided to take him off so early after only 6 overs, because he was causing both batsmen some concern.
Driven by ZADOW, but straight to the man at mid-on, that's John Wright. Talking of Hadlee, I was interested to hear that he's suffering from that disease that most 34-year-old cricketers get, John, that of over cricket. Feels that he's just had too much cricket in recent times, and I guess that's one of the reasons why he's going to be used pretty sparingly in this match.
Well, obviously they have to use him as their strike bowler in the test, and although they'd like him to get a little bit of feel and form for Australian conditions, they certainly won't want to overwork him.
So that's the end of the over. South Australia after 13 overs, 1 for 25. That's on Bishop on 11 and ZADOW 5. It's going to be Cairns to continue from the northern end. He has no wicket for 4, and he'll be bowling to ZADOW.
That ball, unfortunately for Lance Cairns, pitching outside of the off stump, bending back in, and hitting ZADOW on the front pad, but not out.
Well, this is his stop ball, the in-swinger, pitching wide outside off stump, as John told you. ZADOW across, had that second line of protection, the bat out in front, the pad behind, and that's the correct decision by umpire Martin. So Cairns again to ZADOW.
This would be one of the difficulties Lance Cairns has in getting LBW decisions, because the arm action means that the ball is going to really veer in from outside the off stump, and the rule is that if a player is to be given out LBW, the ball must pitch in line with the stumps unless the player declines to play a shot. So having played the shot, if the ball pitches outside, there's no way that he can be given out LBW.
1 for 25.
Batsman who's developed considerably. He started with West Torrens and then ultimately won his place in the South Australian team, and was really developing as a top Shield player when he decided that it was time he returned to his homeland of New Zealand and tried to win a place in their test team, and that's what he's been able to do, much to his credit. But a hard-hitting, very attractive batsman to watch.
Cairns again, and ZADOW's after him, pulls it well. That's a good shot from ZADOW. That'll be 4.
This is a lovely shot by Bob ZADOW. He picked up the line very, very quickly. Noticed that the ball was pitched on the stumps, and with the Cairns action was going to move away toward the leg side, and as you'll see, he picks it up very quickly, takes it off the body, and quickly pulls the ball back with a square for 4. An excellent shot by Bob ZADOW.
Cairns again. Lower delivery, well deceived, well held back, but ZADOW equal to the task. Just gets it back with a square for a single. That's the end of Cairns over. 5 runs from it.
Over. The scoring rate not fast, but when you consider the calibre of the bowling, that's not hard to understand. And it's Snedden to continue to bowl from the southern end, and he'll be bowling to Bob ZADOW, who's on 10, Bishop on 11, South Australia 1 for 30.
Getting briefly back to Jeff Crow for a moment. He's played 20 tests and is averaging 29.25 in test cricket. Short, and he's in the air, but it's wide of the man at square leg, and that's another 4 to ZADOW out to that eastern boundary out there. A valiant attempt by the man at square leg, but that's a good shot from Bob ZADOW.
The shot of a batsman in confident form, David. You'll see that this ball is not really a bad ball, perhaps a little short, but ZADOW confidently picks it off the front pad and hits the ball through that square leg area quickly to the eastern boundary. A very confident shot.
ZADOW to 14, the total to 34. Snedden. Jeremy Coney was appointed
time in the New Zealand side, he was almost an insignificant player, just there, capable of making some runs when New Zealand were in a tight corner. This ball short of a length outside the off stump, and ZADOW leaning back, cuts the ball through the cover area, and the batsman through for an easily run 2. Jeremy Coney, actually a school teacher and a music teacher.
ZADOW gets a short one again. He's after Snedden, and he's put him away through mid-wicket very quickly into position, and that really is an indication of just what fine touch he's in at the moment.
Yes, he's certainly picking up any ball that's short of a length, and because he's seeing the ball so well, he's not frightened to play across the line and hit the ball through that leg side area. That's 3 4s in succession, all with pull shots. Brilliantly hit.
Very quickly into position, as you can see, onto the back foot, and transferring the weight and slamming it through mid-wicket. So ZADOW races to 20 and the total to 40.
So this has been the most expensive over in the New Zealand attack so far. 10 runs from the over so far. 2 fours to Bob ZADOW and a nicely cut shot through the covers. Player in form. He's moved on to 20, Bishop 11. As Snedden comes in again to ZADOW.
An over that cost 10 runs, South Australia 1 for 40.
Lance CAIRNS to continue the attack from the northern or cathedral end of Adelaide Oval, and this time he's bowling to Glenn Bishop, who has rather been in drought conditions for the last 5 overs. Has only faced 2 balls, in fact. CAIRNS will find it difficult bowling to Bishop because of Bishop's desire always to get onto the front foot, and even if he hits the pad, he's going to be so far down the track that it's unlikely that umpire Martin will in any way be interested in an LBW decision.
There's John Wright, one of the openers on tour. Wright, a prolific run scorer for New Zealand. He's fielding at point. Wright will open in the test matches with Bruce Edgar. Wright started his career in 77-78. He's had 41 tests, 72 innings with a high score of 141, and is averaging just on 31.
He's a hard-hitting batsman, Wright. In fact, probably developed a name for himself essentially in the one-day cricket, but has continued to develop in that area. And in your screen now, we have that player, a very good opener for the New Zealand side.
CAIRNS. Bishop, who's forward, very correct in his defence, and he really has looked pretty good. Had that chance when Hadlee put him down off his own bowling, but apart from that, Bishop has looked pretty good.
And here we have his opening partner in Bruce Edgar. The little opener for New Zealand. There's his out. Glenn Bishop turning that ball off his toes, but straight to Hadlee at backward square. A very simple catch, flying straight to the bowler, the fieldsman rather, in Hadlee. And Glenn Bishop is out. Caught Hadlee, bowled CAIRNS for 11.
Well, we've seen CAIRNS really disguise that slower one well. Bishop didn't pick it up, went through with the shot, and Hadlee, clutching away to his left-hand side, brought in a good catch. ZADOW was not deceived in the previous over, but Bishop was on that occasion. So South Australia loses its second wicket. Drinks are about to come onto the ground, and as Glenn Bishop leaves the oval for 11, South Australia in the 16th over, 2 for 40. Go to Sydney for Wide World of Sports with Ian Chappell, Mike Gibson and Max Walker from the Melbourne studios. David Hooks has just come to the crease. He's there because Bishop is out. Caught Hadlee from the bowling of CAIRNS for 11. South Australia losing its second wicket at 40. We've had just over an hour's play, 16 overs bowled in that time, as Hooks is at the wicket, and joining me now in the commentary box, a welcome to Ashley Mellor.
Thank you, David. David Hooks will be looking for a big innings here. CAIRNS. Wisely allows to pass at the ends of a successful over for CAIRNS. South Australia with ZADOW on 20, Hooks yet to score, 2 for 40.
It really was the perfect slower ball from Lance CAIRNS that brought about the demise of Glenn Bishop. I said before, he tried one in the previous over to ZADOW, and he'd handled it pretty well, but Bishop didn't, actually.
No, indeed. Falling away to the offside a bit and hit it in the air. He couldn't avoid that man, Richard Hadlee, who took it effortlessly. Just as I said it, yeah. He caught it a lot easier than I could say it, I can tell you. So 2 for 40.
ZADOW 20, Hooks yet to score, and it's going to be Martin Snedden to continue from the Southern or River Torrens end, and he'll be bowling to ZADOW.
Wide outside the off stump, operating with 2 slips and a gully. Point, cover, and a mid-off. There's no one down at third man, but on the onside he has a very wide mid-on, backward square leg, and a long leg.
Bowling attack for New Zealand has been shared between Hadlee, Snedden and CAIRNS to date. We're watching Snedden. I'll get support from Stephen Bock and Vaughan Brown. Bock, who bowls his left arm orthodox spinners. And there's the bowling figures for the 3 used to date. Hadlee 6 overs, 1 for 11. Snedden none for 20 from 5. And CAIRNS, who has 1 for 9. 2 maidens included in his 5 overs. Bock bowls left arm orthodox, and Vaughan Brown, the right arm off spinner, completes the bowling attack. Or beaten badly as he looked for the drive. Just picked the wrong line, I think. There wasn't any much movement, but ZADOW flashing outside off stump.
Good line and length. ZADOW forward, the ball going gun barrel straight. Still managed to miss it.
South Australia hasn't started too well at 2 for 40. Actually, I wonder if this attack, however, will worry the Australians when they start their test matches. The first match, of course, is on November the 8th. And that probably will be Jeremy Coney's biggest worry, trying to bowl Australia out twice.
Yes, indeed. Well, Richard Hadlee is not the strike force he was. He's still a very useful bowler. And in terms of Australian batsmen, they'll look at Hadlee as the strike bowler. Snedden, pretty honest of a toiler, and so too CAIRNS. They'll bowl straight. Won't give too much away. They won't give width either side of the stumps, and that's very important to bowl very straight to good players.
And Jeremy Coney has taken over the captaincy from Jeff Howarth. Big job, much on his mind as this forthcoming Test Series starts in Brisbane on November the 8th. Snedden to ZADOW. Driven well. Pick the gap delightfully. It won't go all the way. Wright gets across from mid-on and they're back for 2.
That's the end of Snedden's over.
17 overs. ZADOW 22. Hooks, who has the strike, yet to get off the mark. It's CAIRNS continuing. Slightly slower than this.
Into the right-hander. Has that man at short forward leg. 2 slips, and Richard Hadlee in a sort of an elongated gully.
CAIRNS pitches in short again, and ZADOW just stands up straight. Here's that action of Lance CAIRNS, just a very short run-up. 4, 5, 6, about 10 paces to the wicket. And very much in the Max Walker mould.
A beautiful straight drive, ZADOW. CAIRNS over pitching, and they get a very comfortable 2. Bruce Edgar fires back. A neat return to the bowler's end.
ZADOW looking very good actually this morning, continuing that good form he showed us. Only got 144 against Western Australia in the Sheffield Shield match last weekend. He's 24 with 3 boundaries. The total is 45. And that one going the other way as ZADOW allows it to pass through to McSweeney. 3 runs from the over, 2 for 45.
Today, not out 24, 3 boundaries. David Hooks just come to the crease. He's scored just the 1 run. South Australia 2 for 45. Martin Snedden continuing from the southern end.
Very important day for David Hooks this. If we get the score here, then one would suspect that he's going to be very close to Test selection. He looked in good touch in that game last week, middled the ball from the moment he came to the crease. Only got 40 in the first innings and then followed that with an 82, but it was the way that he struck the ball, actually, that really mattered.
Yes, indeed. It was almost sort of arrogant ease, the way he hammered the WA attack around. Certainly New Zealand have got a better attack. The runs against them would make more impact with the selectors.
Thought about that, but discretion the better part of valour, and I think that was a wise decision. He loves that shot, but perhaps just a little early in his innings to take the risk. 2 slips in the gully in. A very short boundary to the eastern side this week, as this pitch is almost to the extremity on that eastern side. Snedden again, and Hooks whips him through mid-wicket. That's a good shot. At least 2. He may think about the third as it's picked up just inside. No, he hasn't. He's very happy with those 2.
That's indeed a nice shot from David Hooks, picking up that very heavy bat of his. Ball just straying down, or straying on the middle stump. He's whacked it off middle stump for 2.
Well, his timing's good. He showed us that he was really striking the ball well last week. 100 here would be great.
David Hooks uses a very heavy bat. They tell me it's over 3 pounds. It's a bit like a tree trunk. I suppose that helps him avoid hitting across the ball, although it did in a couple of deliveries previously.
No, taking it off the middle stump and hitting it through mid-wicket, but with a very good eye. Snedden again. He's forward, just pushing the mid off. Wright does the fielding. And the thoughts going through his mind, I'm sure, are that he would like to occupy this crease for a long time today, gradually build his innings and then blossom out. And if he can do that, then his test prospects. Do you think, Ashley, that the Australian selectors would be thinking along the lines of using Hooks?
Gets a big score here today, certainly. At the end of the over, it's 2 for 47.
Change over to the only click-on hose system that's virtually unbreakable. Neater. 6 times stronger than plastic.
Wednesday night, Hardcastle and McCormick find themselves on the wrong side of a bad law. Inmates in a prison they visit unleash a riot with everything they've got, including the judge and McCormick. With corrupt officials on the outside, the heat's on and they're not about to let the do-gooders get away. Hardcastle and McCormick, 7:30 Wednesday.
So backlight at Adelaide Oval. It's Lance Cairns to continue. South Australia 2 for 47. David Darcy has been taken off at the southern end. And we have Ian Aiken.
Thanks, Ashley. Lance Cairns, 1 for 12. He was successful, and here he goes again. Bob ZADOW on unconquered at the moment on 24, which follows on with his lovely growth last Sunday, 144. He remains not out at the moment.
It was anything but a gross innings. It was a superb knock. 144, some lovely shots, and he, as Ian said, he really has carried on in that vein. There's a classic off drive. He can't get past that man at mid-off. There's Bruce Edgar.
12:30, we'll be going to Sydney with Mike Gibson and Ian Chappell in Nine's Wide World of Sports. Max Walker down in the Melbourne studios. But for the moment, we're live with Cairns on his way to ZADOW. And Bob ZADOW tucks that away very nicely. Hook's not out on 3. And at 2 o'clock, we go to the Seiko Super Tennis from Japan, 1985, Seiko Super Tennis. Don't forget, just a further reminder, at 10:25 tonight, there'll be the highlights of this encounter. The this afternoon, or today, between New Zealand and South Australia. Ashley Mallett.
Come in David Hooks. A little bit of a slip there. They looked for one, but after David slipped, wearing the rubber soles, there's no chance of a run. 49.
49. Successful bowlers, Richard Hadlee and Lance Cairns.
Umpire Tony Crafter. Southern end. Bruce Martin at square leg. Snedden bowling to Hooks with 2 slips and a gully. Cordon of men on the offside. Point, cover, mid-off. A short leg, mid-on and a long leg. Not
necessary for him to regain his confidence, because I'm sure it's high, but I'm sure all batsmen, Ashley, would experience a little bit of butterflies early in their innings.
Yes, indeed. Especially David Hooks today, because it's very important. He's fully aware it's important that he must score heavily to have any chance at all in getting a test recall. He was in top form last weekend. Scored that 40, the first stick against WA, and then 82. Bobby ZADOW swings and misses, strike 1.
Yes, no balls down there. They're all strikes.
It's tonight, Ian, World Series baseball. Game 5 from tonight at 11 o'clock on Channel 9.
This is back with Cairns. Yes, that'll follow the highlights of today's play, which will be from 10:30 of this game that's in progress here at the moment. This game between South Australia and New Zealand coming to you live. At 12:30 we'll be crossing to Sydney. Mike Gibson and Ian Chappell for Nine's Wide World of Sports. Max Walker is down in the Melbourne studios, but back with Lance Cairns. Oh, shot from ZADOW, beautiful. Won't get 4, but they'll take an easy single.
Bob ZADOW really is in sparkling form. Here's Cairns dropping short. ZADOW well in, just picks it up, helps it on its way down to Stephen Bock. Can't elude Bock at fine length, so they just pick up the single. There he is, quickly in position.
That was a replay. That was how it was live. The Cairns Hooks encounter. 2 wickets have fallen in this morning's session, so it's got to be, the game must be at this stage of the game. The plus would have to go to New Zealand, Ashley.
Yes, indeed, they'd be happy with the way the bowlers have bowled. Certainly Coney would be happy with Hadlee's performance. 6 overs, 1 for 11. That's the end of Cairns' over. 1 run from it. It's 2 for 57.
W to Hadlee for 7. Glenn Bishop was caught by Hadlee, dismissed by Lance Cairns for 11. ZADOW not out on 26. And David Hooks not out on 10. 2 for 57. 3 sundries. There's been a change in the bowling. And this could possibly be the last over of play here in the morning session. And it's back with Richard Hadlee. And this is, of course, not the last over of the play here at the Adelaide Oval. It'll be the last over of our telecast. And at 12:30 we'll be going to Sydney in around about a minute's time. And in Sydney we'll be joined by Ian Chappell, Mike Gibson in Nine's Wide World of Sports. Back with Hadlee.
Good delivery. Good bounce there for him. Richard Hadlee. This is his 7th over. He has 1 for 11. He got the vital wicket of Andrew Hilditch, trapping him palpably LBW for 7.
Back with Hadlee. ZADOW at the moment is on 26. He's unconquered. David Hooks is on 10. There's been 2 wickets lost for South Australia. Those 2 wickets have been Andrew Hilditch. He was dismissed for 7. Glenn Bishop was caught. Hadlee bowled. Cairns for 11. And we're standing by now to go